Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video episode of Business is More Exciting Than Any Game. Today's video episode is going to focus on that often neglected concept of piercing the corporate veil. Piercing the corporate veil sounds kind of mysterious, but it's really not. But it's very important if you are a business owner, a small business owner, and you are concerned, and you should be, about protecting the limited liability protection of your business, your entity, then you need to be aware of what piercing the corporate veil is all about and how to prevent it from happening to you in the event you're sued. All right. As you know, corporations and LLCs are very popular business entities for small business owners, particularly because they provide liability protection to their owners. That means essentially that the activities and business operations, the contracts entered into by a corporation or an LLC do not create liability for, in the case of a corporation, its shareholders, and in the case of an LLC, its members. Essentially, the corporation or the LLC is treated as a separate entity, separate and apart from its shareholders in the case of a corporation and its members in the case of an LLC. That is great, and that is one of the main reasons small business owners either incorporate their businesses by using a corporation or set up an LLC and operate their business as a limited liability company. But what happens if you find yourself the target of a lawsuit, either because of some activity or action or omission that your business did, or a contract that it entered into that the other party claims you breached your contract? What happens if that you get sued, your company gets sued, and the other side, heaven forbids, the other side wins the case against your company? You might think that you have total immunity yourself from liability as the owner of the entity that has now gotten a judgment against it in a court, but you might be mistaken, because plaintiff's attorneys, if they find themselves holding a judgment against a corporation or an LLC, a small business that operates in one of those two liability limiting vehicles, those attorneys may decide to try to what's called pierce the corporate veil. And what that essentially means is treat you as the owner of your business as the alter ego of your business and try to collect the judgment against you personally, against your assets personally. This often happens if the LLC or the corporation has limited assets, limited ability to pay a judgment. A plaintiff's attorney may decide to seek to pierce the corporate veil and go against you personally as the owner of the business. So how do you prevent this from happening? Well, bottom line, you can't prevent the other side in a lawsuit from attempting to pierce the corporate veil. What you can do is proactively, while you're operating your business, operate it in such a way that it is less likely than it otherwise would be that a person in a lawsuit who sues your company is able to get a judgment against you personally as the owner of the business. You do this a number of ways. First of all, and the main thing you want to do is to totally respect the separateness of your business. Do not treat your business as your own personal bank account. In other words, don't commingle the monies of the business with your personal monies. Don't take all the monies of the business out and put it in your personal account. Don't pay business expenses from your personal checking account. Respect the separateness of the entity. You need to also make sure that you abide by all the formalities of either the corporate law, if you're a corporation, or the limited liability company law, if you're an LLC. Make sure that your entity stays active in the state of Tennessee. File your annual reports on time. Have meetings if you're a corporation. Have member meetings if you are a LLC. If you're a sole member LLC, or if you're the sole shareholder of a corporation, still maintain the formalities by having regular corporate or LLC meetings. Put resolutions, put minutes in your books. Keep that formality. Keep those formalities straight. Respect the formalities, and that will help a whole lot. You want to also make sure that you don't undercapitalize your business. So, for example, if your business takes in a certain amount of money and it takes a certain amount of money of that income to operate, don't take all the money out of the business and then put it in your own bank account. Let the business operate with the funds that it needs to have to operate. If it costs $100,000 to operate your business on a regular basis by paying whatever expenses it must pay, rent and supplies and vendors and whatever, keep those monies in the corporate or the LLC vehicle. Don't take them out and then try to fund the operations of your business through your own personal funds. So bottom line is, if you do find yourself unfortunately the target of a lawsuit, your business, and you can't keep the other side, if they get a judgment, from trying to pierce the corporate veil. But if you respect the separateness of your entity, you treat it as a separate entity, separate and apart from yourself. Don't treat it as your personal little piggy bank. Respect the formalities, do the formalities on a regular basis. You'll be in a lot better shape if you find yourself in that position. Under standard Tennessee law, the burden of proof is on a person seeking to pierce the corporate veil. So the other side in a lawsuit is going to have to show that you acted as the alter ego of your business, didn't respect the formalities, didn't treat it as a separate entity, didn't capitalize it properly. The burden is going to be on the other side. And it's a significant burden because the law does presume that a separate business entity is to be treated as a separate business entity. So it's a high mountain for a plaintiff to overcome, to pierce the corporate veil. It can be done. You want to make sure that if your business is the target of a lawsuit, it doesn't happen to you. So always treat your business as what it is, a separate business entity. It should have its own bank account. It should operate from its own bank account. It should, all the formalities should be respected. Don't treat it as a part of you. Treat it as what it is, a separate legal entity. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. And that's today's episode of Business is More Exciting Than Any Game. We'll see you next time. Thanks.